Hey there, toy collector friends and Doctor Who fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I am the time-travelling toy collector, perhaps never more so true than today. And this is the Character Options First Doctor and Tardis set from the Unearthly Child, as he first appeared on BBC TV in 1963, which is a B&M exclusive here in the UK. And particularly hard to get hold of, so I will share my views on that thought in a second. But I haven't done very many of the B&M range figures. I have used some of their TARDISes, their police boxes, and their action figures within some of my TARDIS console reviews. So if you want to see if you can catch a glimpse of them in the background, by all means have a look at the TARDIS console reviews playlist, which looks at the TARDIS console models produced by Hero Collector. But this is the Character Options 5.5 inch figure scale release for B&M exclusives, and it's the First Doctor and the First Doctor's iteration of the TARDIS police shell exterior as seen in An Unearthly Child. And I have to say, I have picked up several of these Character Options sets in the past. I wasn't quick to embrace them, but I have done, and I also am a particular fan of the police boxes that they've produced. They've produced quite a range, so I may well start looking at them in a bit more detail on this channel. Along with some of the Doctor figures, I have acquired a few that come with Doctors. Some were sold separately, some were electronic. So it's a bit of a mix over time as the range has changed and evolved, which is fair enough. That's what happens. But it's one of the things I'm going to talk about in this video is the exclusivity. So when figures and sets are released exclusively to certain stores, it seems to, and I'm sure this isn't always the case, but it seems to feed this culture of scalping, where people go out and purchase a ton on the day of release of the same figures, and then they suddenly appear on online auction sites, for example, at ludicrous prices, because again the stock is limited and access has been exclusive, and when those stocks are depleted in those exclusive outlets around, across the country, it becomes very, very hard to track down. I was very lucky to not be sucked into that with this collection, with this particular figure set, but I know it happens, and I think it's really disappointing, and I don't understand why I suspect it could be because they don't care, but I don't know if that's true or not. But they certainly must be aware that it occurs. But why B&M, but why Character Options, who produce some really high quality figures, and that again as a range has evolved, and we're going to take a look at this First Doctor figure in a moment, and that particularly shows what I'm talking about here. But I just find it really frustrating that you have to be lucky enough to live near, or know someone that lives near, or be prepared to travel to a particular store in order to hopefully see if they have any in stock. Now, don't get me wrong, there were certain times and certain figures that I've collected two of, one that I could open, one that I could keep safe. Coming from, as I do, my time growing up, where the action figures you had were either Star Wars or Action Force, G.I. Joe type of stuff, and we've seen how they have become very collectible over time. So you do want to keep something pristine while still getting something out and kinetically working with it and playing with it and posing it and all the rest of it. So I kind of understand getting one to open, one to save for best, as it were, or it's a potential investment for 10, 15, 20 years down the line, maybe, if that's how people think, and I get it if it is. But I do think I think this sort of subculture of scalping is really disappointing, and I find it very, very disheartening as a collector and appreciator of certain toys and models, etc., that you suddenly find yourself having to fight and really compete to get hold of what are, let's not forget, in an ideal sort of utopian world, products that are being produced for children to access and play with and develop their creativity and their imagination, etc. Yeah, some of us adults are along for the ride and we get out of it what we get out of it. But I think it's just disappointing for me. It's just a bit disappointing for me that we find ourselves in that culture. Anyway, I don't want to get into that too much, and I've wasted 5 minutes or so talking about that. I'm not going to do it. So this set, I love it. I absolutely love it. Let's come in close to this video. So I will do a bit of a, let me hold him here so you can get a real close look at the detailing, even down to the shoes, the pattern on the trousers, the scarf. His hands do have a predetermined grip to them, which implies that they could hold an accessory. Previous iterations of the first Doctor have come with a cane, for example. This figure in this set does not come with the cane. So to be clear, the set consists purely of the first Doctor figure and the Tardis exterior shell. There's a very limited diorama within the box itself. It doesn't really excite me. The box is one of those you have to really start doing lots of unscrewing to get the product out. So I've dispensed with talking about the box in this video. So apologies if you're really into the box. I have posted on my Instagram page a couple of pictures of the box if you want to see it with the product inside and the detailing on the box and the wording. By all means, you can go and check that out. My Instagram page is Time Travelling Toy Collector, so you can go and see that. So here we have the first Doctor, and I have to say, this is possibly one of the best face sculpts on a 5.5-inch figure of William Hartnell's Fifth Doctor that I think I've ever seen. I mean, seriously, check this out. It is really, really good. You get all the standard points of articulation, so take that as a given, but I'm essentially talking about head, shoulders, bicep, elbow, wrist. There's no waist that I can make happen, but upper thigh and knee. I haven't checked the feet. Not the feet yet, so the feet are static, which is just as well, because sometimes some of these are a bit dodgy to stand up anyway. The detailing of the coat, again, this is how he first appears in the black and white episode The Unearthly Child, which introduced us to the Doctor, as well as Susan Foreman, his granddaughter, allegedly, and teachers Ian and Barbara. So this is the Doctor wearing his scarf, his coat, his hat. You can see the detailing of his rather posh necktie there. The buttons are there. The coat is fixed in place. Some of the Doctor figures, their coats aren't. You can open them up. This one is fixed in place, presumably because of the cold November weather he's experiencing. And he has his hat, which is not removable. Slight problem for me in the figure design is that the hat, I have tried to push it down, believe me. The hat mould, which has been attached to the top of the head, there's a bit of a visible rim there. I think you can probably see it. This visible rim here, where you can see the join, which is unfortunate. I think that could have been slightly better achieved, or slightly higher quality of credit control. Apologies, quality control. Because that really does look like he's got a deformed head that is hat-shaped, going on under his hat, which, you know, the figure may well have, but I'm pretty sure William Hartnell did not. The hair, however, the capturing of the hair, the capturing of the likeness in this figure is so amazing, so amazing. And I indeed, a couple of commenters on my Instagram page have picked up on that. I think it's really impressive, really impressive. So, you know, top marks from me for the quality of this figure. And again, if you're someone who does enjoy the odd bit or dabbling in toy photography, the face sculpt is so lovely, and I'll put it under there, but you can really see how in the right angles the shadows that are cast across that face, it's wonderful. You know, it's really wonderful. There's real depth of character in there, And you would think actually this figure is probably, you'd expect to be paying more than the sort of the bog standard fee that you'd get to pick up a set like this. Anyway, I shall pop him back over here. Then this is where I'll demonstrate he won't stand up, and we'll turn our attention to the Tardis shell, and I'll try and get as much of this in shot as possible. It's a very we've knocked the set down there, but though, to be fair, it's a 1960s set, so we have to accept that there is an element of wobbliness that's built in. We just have to accept that and not swear profusely at the figures in question. Let's lean you onto the side, well, for now. So let's start with some obvious positives. Well, actually, I don't have many negatives. I've got a couple, but not many. Yeah, so the paintwork on this is superb. Very interesting and very detailed crafting on here, and you can see the St. John's ambulance symbol is faded and worn. I think that's a bit to do with something around copyright and licensing usage, but they've got around it really well on here. Don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure, but I think I read somewhere that there were some issues with using that symbol moving forwards. So that might be why this is the case, but I think they've addressed it very cleverly by making it look warped and a bit faded. The key hole and the handle are beautifully realised, as is the door here for the police phone. The detailing of the words very, very clear, and also very, very dirty. So there's a real strong sense of age and weatheredness to this toy. The base is very, very sturdy, very straightforward. Unlike some of the electronic versions, it doesn't have the button on the bottom to activate lights and sounds. A little bit more on that in a moment. And again, as we come up, you can see the windows. The windows are beautifully detailed with the white frame, and they do have the slightly frosted element in a couple of the panes there. I think it would have been super cool if they could have opened some of the shots of the TARDIS. You do see them open, but that's probably me being a little bit overly demanding, for which I'm sure I will suffer in the comments. As we turn it round to the back, because again all the sides tend to follow the same format, but you can see really effective detailing on the paint. It's plastic and it sounds like plastic, but it does look very, very effective indeed. So come the back, this is one of the things that I find a little bit disappointing with the character options TARDISes, particularly the non-electronic ones, and that is that they've maintained, and I'm sure it's to enable us to have all these without the costs surging, but then please see my previous comments about the cost surge anyway, because the scalpers go in, buy them all and then sell them online for their own ridiculous prices. Please don't cater to scalpers, folks. So here we have the speaker and the door for the batteries, which you can't open because it doesn't take batteries, because it doesn't have a speaker. So this for me is the main issue with this. Well, it's one of two issues that I have really. The rest, I would say it's a 9 out of 10 product for me, and I'll tell you why it loses the mark. It loses the mark because they've done nothing really to mask this. I mean, this could have been covered or replaced. I think if I was a child and I had this, I think if I'm an adult and I had this, I'd feel a bit cheated that, well, it's got a speaker and it's got a door for batteries, so why haven't I got a battery compartment for speakers? And I know it's to keep the price down, I get that, but it's like if you're going to either commit to one or commit to the other, this is a little on the lazy side, but that's, in my opinion. It's at the back, obviously, so when it comes to posing the TARDIS and using it in various toy photography, it certainly isn't something that is going to really wind me up too much or distract me too much, but it is a feature that's a concern, and I just feel that it's worth flagging. I'm now going to sort of pan up a bit to address my next point, and the easiest thing to do is just to sort of hold the camera in situ a little bit higher up rather than try and angle the TARDIS. So here we have, and this is both a lovely feature and a little bit the top portion. Now I love the signage here, I love how it's on those jutting out ports. I love the detailing of the dirt and the grime over the police public call box areas. Very evocative of the time, takes me right back. It's actually making me want to watch the first 4-part story of the first Doctor's era on Blu-ray, on DVD rather. The thing I love also the lamp. It's a single piece with clear plastic there, very nicely detailed and evocative of the time. And we have the stacked roof, which is very much of the time, and possibly, apart from the paint job of the door sign and the windows, the thing that really makes this distinctly the first Doctor's TARDIS. My slight, and again, this is really nitpicking, which is why I'm saying it's like a 9 out of 10. It's probably a 9.5 out of 10, really. I'm just being super harsh. But you can kind of see, where a previous iteration of the police box exterior has had its roof lobbed off, and this version of the roof has been attached. There's almost a real obvious sort of cut to it, and I've seen certain people's versions of this. It's far more obvious than mine, mercifully. But it is there, and it kind of catches my eye. Again, in certain toy photography, that's not going to be a problem, and certainly in the overall scheme of things, it's not a problem. I'm just really glad to have the TARDIS from this era, because again, if you look online, there was a previous iteration of the first Doctor and their TARDIS, and if you try and find it now on online auction sites, it's pretty expensive and hard to get your hands on. So let me just do a last minute zoom in. The detailing is really great. It does have the usual, maybe a bit previous there, the usual feature of a spring-loaded door. So you can open the TARDIS door there to sort of pose your Doctor figure inside or exiting. The other door does open as well. Unlike some, it doesn't have a meaningful telephone, so that doesn't open. So you can open both doors, and just like the original prop, the inside is very ugly and you don't really want to see it. This closes like so and clips, always being mindful to be careful. There's a little spring-loaded section on the floor there. You press it, releases the door, and it immediately swings to like that. So that's it's nice that they've retained that feature, if nothing else. I really like this set. I mean, it's not going to come as a surprise to you, particularly as I've got the whole, well, almost the entire range of TARDISes. I didn't get them all because I felt some were just basically too similar to each other to warrant it, and in a couple of other instances I was slightly too slow, and the Scalpers got there first, and now they're available at silly prices online, and I just can't be bothered. I do know Character Options have done a few online exclusives, and one of them was the second Doctor's TARDIS from the Abominable Snowman, which was a set you could order direct from their website. To be honest, personally, I would rather they did that than they did their B&M, sorry B&M, but rather than their B&M exclusives. I would rather they did that, because it makes, to me, a lot more sense. And they can also control distribution, because some of you may purchase other toys like Transformers or Marvel Legends figures and things like that from online stores such as In Demand Toys or Kapow in the UK, and Big Bad Toy Store in the USA, and things like that, where they actually limit the number of items the number of one item you can purchase, particularly on new releases. It literally will say to you no more than 3 per customer, for example. Whereas I suspect that's far harder for stores such as B&M, which is a bit of it's a convenience store. It's a grocery store with various different types of products inside it. It's harder for them to manage that. So I get that. I totally get that. But if you're a collector and you're out there looking to find something, the last thing you want is to have your collection and your ability to collect strained by those who are going to prey upon you online in order to get hold of the latest items. Anyway, overall, Beautiful TARDIS exterior, really good head sculpt and figure for the William Hartnell first Doctor as he first appears on screen. Character options done an excellent job with this, and I'm sorry to anyone who's having trouble tracking it down. It took me a long time, which is why I'm only getting around to showing you this now. I will do some photography with it, probably quite hurried, so it won't be anything too elaborate, but I'll pop some of those photos in the back end of this video as ever. And also you can have a look at my, as I mentioned earlier, my Instagram page, where I will be doing more with it and other Doctors and other TARDISes in the future. So go and head over to the Time Travelling Toy Collector on Instagram, give that a follow if you like. And talking about following, quite a few of you who are watching this video are not yet following or subscribed to the channel. It would be amazing if you would. It really helps the channel, and it really helps me to carry on producing content for you and looking at some of the latest releases as they come out. Or so if you are trying to consider whether or not it's worth tracking down something like the first Doctor's TARDIS from the Unearthly Child, then giving you an up-close and personal look may help you make those decisions. Does this belong in your collection of Doctor Who figures and memorabilia? Only you really know the answer to that. I can certainly vouch for its quality. For me, I love it. I love how it lights as well, but you'll see a bit more of that shortly. So for me, it's a no-brainer. It has to go into my collection. I have to rethink how I present my TARDIS collection now, because it won't fit. This has pushed me over the edge, unfortunately, but you know, it's an edge I'm quite happy to explore. Thank you so much for being a fantastic audience. I've been the Time Travelling Toy Collector. This has been the Character Options First Doctor and First Doctor's TARDIS from An Unearthly Child. It's a B&M exclusive. Good luck tracking it down in a B&M store. You may find it online. If you're lucky, the prices will not have soared too high, but equally they may have done, and if they have, unfortunately, people will pay for it. So whilst people pay, people will charge. That's all I'm gonna say on that one. Anyway, take care. I look forward to seeing you again in a future video. Whilst you're subscribing, you can turn on notifications so you never miss a future video around Doctor Who products, Star Trek, Star Wars, Transformers, Marvel, other miscellaneous bits and pieces that come up across over time. And in the meantime, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next video. But you know, do please remember that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. Take care, and bye-bye for now.